Could you tell us your name?
My name is Sonia Early,
Where were you born, Sonia?
Richmond, California.
And that's in the Bay Area. And yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And you, how did it happen that you became homeless? What's your story?
Well, I had made a lot of bad choices, and I had lived in Alaska. I had been there a total of about 12 years, and I was in an abusive marriage for 10. So it got to a point that it was either I leave or I die. So I came to California back with my family. I still wasn't making the right choices, and my dad had to make the choice if he was going to allow me to stay in the home or if he was going to send me out. They thought I was going to a friend's house, but that morning I had found out that wasn't going to work out. So when I left my parents' house, I knew I was going homeless.
And how old were you then?
This was 3 years ago.
3 years ago. Okay. So you were.
I was an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 years ago you were homeless. How long were you homeless for?
It was off and on. The longest time I was homeless was 4 months. And then I'd gotten in another relationship. That was another bad decision. And he had eventually kicked me out for unknown reasons. And then I was homeless for a little over a week at that point. But when I started here, I was sleeping in my car.
Well, I want to ask you, what agencies did anybody help you out there? Were there any agencies you went to while you were homeless? What did you do? Where did you sleep?
Well, I slept in my car, or I'd find a park where nobody was there and find the darkest spot I could.
In your car? You were
in my car.
Yeah.
But there were times I didn't have my car. So when I didn't have a
scary.
car, I found the darkest spot I could to where hopefully nobody would see me.
Yes.
And by the grace of God, I'm here.
Yes, that was a very scary time for you, I'm sure.
It was. But, honestly, I feel like that's exactly where God wanted me. Because it came down to, it was me and God. And God can't make an impact on your life if you don't focus on Him.
Did you stay at the mission at all?
No, I didn't. I had gone to the mission at one point. And when I had stepped out of my car, I felt like, bees to honey. Every man that was in that parking lot, all started coming to my car. So I climbed back in my car, and I would go to the truck stops because they were open 24 hours. And lots of light, and so I parked at the end of the trucks.
Smart. Yeah.
And then I felt safer.
Yeah, you were. I think that was probably a very good
Yeah.
idea. I mean, that's where they sleep out there. The men are people are sleeping, and it's truck drivers. No people aren't going to bother truck drivers. So,
Right.
That was good thinking. But I did want to. Did you stay at the Barbarian at all? Did you try any of the other?
No, I had been out of state for so long that, and honestly, I've been in bad situations before, but I'd never actually been homeless to where I'd be sleeping in my vehicle or underneath a tree. In Alaska, we had gone where we had no electric, and in the middle of winter. So I'd been in really rough spots before, but this was totally different.
Yeah. Now, how did you get yourself? You're no longer homeless, which is wonderful. I'm glad, really glad to hear that. What helped you? How did you get yourself out of being homeless?
I didn't. I started at church in the park, and I just felt this is where the Lord wanted me. I helped wherever I could. If it was chairs, if it was helping in the kitchen area, I started helping in the clothing, and that kind of stuck.
Yeah.
The woman who was leading clothing, she had to step down, and the board had put me in the leadership position. I'm still doing that. My husband is a volunteer for Church in the Park. And we started talking, and things just kind of went off from there, and we had gotten married underneath that tree.
Beautiful.
Last August.
Beautiful location.
Yeah, we met here, so we got married here.
That is a beautiful place. This whole setting is.
This is definitely God's creation.
This is Beard Park in Modesto. It's a very beautiful setting. Your whole way of getting out of homelessness is you started with the church in the park.
And so I didn't ask anything from anybody. I didn't.
I see.
I was content. I was, I didn't like where I was, but I was content with where I was. And I tried to make the best out of whatever situation I came across. And they started this program, and they had put me in an RV, and I'd lived there for a little bit, and then things just kind of grew from there. And I made the commitment that the Lord's first. I do what the Lord wants me to do. And the more I did that, the more the Lord blessed me. And he brought me my husband, and he's brought me a wonderful team for the clothing ministry, and he's every day is blessing my life.
Well, I'm really glad. You seem very happy, and I'm glad for you. We're trying to find agencies outside of churches that are public, tax-supported agencies that we all pay for, and us taxpayers, and you do now, and your husband, and we want to see. We kind of want to see if you've tried. Did you try to access those agencies at all? When you,
I did try. I had gotten through the rumor mill of housing, helping with housing.
Right.
Being that my daughter is with her dad, I didn't qualify.
Yes. Okay.
I am a single woman, so I did fall through the cracks. So it got to a point where I was like, I'm just gonna survive. Basically, I got my food stamps, and that kept me fed for a month.
Right, I got you.
There is the Salvation Army. There's the mission. Just about every church hands out food at this point. And then there's the Advancing Vibrant Communities that helps people get into homes and transitional living, and so there are many ministries out there that can direct people to where they need to go.
Yeah, the ministries are good, and so your only contact with a public agency was through HUD, I imagine. You were trying to get
something other than my car.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And because you didn't have children,
that.
So there was no other. You didn't know of any other service at that time.
No, not at that time. No.
Okay.
But being part of Church in the Park, I'm able to direct a lot of people to different things. Well, I know, regardless of your living situation and regardless of where you are, you can find peace. And you can have that peace that only God can give. And you could be in jail, you can be in prison, you could be sleeping by the river, you could be in the same clothes that you are wearing from 6 months ago. But you can have that peace. You don't have to have the house and the car and the food and all these other things. God promises that He will provide our needs. And when I was homeless, I did have that meal every day. It may have been one meal, but I had that meal. Even when I didn't have my car, I was able to find some sort of shelter. So you can have that peace, and you can have that goal. And if you keep Christ at the center of your life, then one, you can leave the situation you are in by the grace of God.
Well, here's what I want to ask you, because you brought it up a couple of times, and maybe as you believe, I think God was looking out for you.
Absolutely.
But I find it very dangerous that a young woman like you, I find it very dangerous. And maybe you were right. You were a lucky young woman.
I was.
Or God interceded in your.
Right.
I don't know. But I can say that I find it very disheartening and very sad that a young woman could be out on her own trying to look for a place. And I imagine, I want you to tell me, if you can, the fear and the harassment in some cases that went on, being a young, and I mean a man, it's scary. I would not want to be living. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to be living down on the creek. You know, I mean, I'd be frightened.
Right.
Okay, and I think I'd have a legitimate right to be frightened because you're very vulnerable. And
the one thing is, for any male, female, you can't have fear. You can't show that fear, because if you show that fear, then that's when you're going to get the attack. You're going to get the harassment, and even because there were times I was scared. I was very, very scared. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew whatever happened, that I would be okay. And the only reason I knew that is because I had put Christ as the center of my life. Right. Because the streets are dangerous. The streets are dangerous for everybody. Absolutely everybody. And, you know, I now know a lot of people that still live on the street. But if you just walk with your shoulders back and your head held high, then you're going to make it. And you're able to make it, you know, through your faith. You're able to make it, you know, I believe I was chosen to be here, that the Lord wanted me here. And sometimes God's going to knock you off at your knees to get you on them.
You had to portray yourself as being maybe tougher than you are. And
because I have a lot of health issues on top of it. So I used to be able to fight really well. And if I'm pushed over the edge, I'm sure I could. But I couldn't show that weakness. And, you know, even today, I still can't show that weakness. But it's God's strength that I have now. There's no way I could have made it on my own.
I really want to thank you.
Thank you.
For sharing your story.